Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you guys are doing okay. So I'm going to talk about a dream that I had first in this video, and then the next video I'm going to talk about something else. And I'm still deciding if I'm going to upload this video. So if I do upload it, it's because I got the go ahead to do it. I'm a little bit about uploading it for some reason. But in my dream, this dream seemed so real. There were so many things going on in the dream, and a part of it when I woke up, I prayed to the Lord, and I had to cast down certain things that was in the dream, because there's things in there was just kind of like, a part of it was a little bit disturbing. There's so many things that was just happening, and I have a keen sense that as I am talking about it, it's gonna just come to me what the dream meant. But there was just so many different scenarios and things that I was seeing and things that was going on, and basically the whole thing is just illusion. And perhaps I might even be able to comprise these, instead of doing 2 videos, it'll be in one. But in my dream, there was someone that was really dear to me that was talking to me in my dream, and they were asking me something. And I guess they were just asking me like, hey, where you been? And why aren't you around as much? And this is me paraphrasing because I can't remember everything. And I remember being in my dream, crying very heavily in the dream. It was like, I don't know if it was like my tears were falling on my jeans in my dream, or just falling on some sort of fabric, but I could see my tears very heavy, just falling so hard. And I can't remember everything that I said, but the person wanted to know, like, why aren't you around as much, or what's happening and why. And in my dream, I was pouring out crying before the person, because I was just saying, because I love you so much. I said, I love you so much, and you have such a place in my heart that I have to move forward without you. That's what it was in my dream. I was like, I have to choose God. I have to choose God more than you. And it was like, I was like, to my heart and what I feel for you. Okay, this is not anything intimate or anything like, but in my dream, I was just explaining that I love you so much, and where you have been in my heart, I love you so much, and I had you in this place so much. Like, basically, it was hindering me from my walk with God, because anything you do or did not do, it affected me in such a way emotionally that it would just throw me completely off, because I love you that much. And I do still love you that much, but I have to choose God. I choose God. And guys, I was pouring out crying in my dream. I mean, I kind of feel like I almost want to cry now, but it was like, I think to some degree, the Lord was like even giving me answers to questions I have about a lot of things, because as you move further and further in the Lord, you have this idea of who will be along the road with you and how it will go. And you have this white picket fence ending in your mind. We all live happily ever after and everything works out. But sometimes, guys, you have to just keep going. And sometimes, when you're making these changes and people will not understand, and it will seem so crazy, and it just does not make sense. The same reason why the Bible says, he who loves father, mother more than me is not worthy of me. Your average Joe, and even I've said it when I first read it, was like, what is that? Like, why does God want me to love him more than my parents? Or the way I look at it was like, why would that even be on the table? Why would that even be on the table, Lord? Like, wow, that is so not cool. You're just thinking that. And a lot of people really get turned off by that, and they think that, that God is a misogynist and all these things, but that's not what he's saying. He's not telling us that, because the way you know is if you read the scripture, the Lord is about honoring your parents. It is about loving your neighbor as yourself. If you don't love the person as much as you love yourself, then you can't enter into heaven. So it's kind of conflicting. But what God is saying is, when you're in a position where, whether it's mother, father, brother, sister, anybody in your life, husband, wife, money, anything, where they put you in a position where either your walk become compromised, or they continue to put you in a position where they are maybe wanting you to doubt your walk with the Lord, or they are minimizing your walk with the Lord, or they want to hinder your walk, or they do things to keep you in a place of hurt and disappointment. You have to understand that your emotions is really important. So if somebody is repeatedly hurting you, whether they're doing it directly or indirectly, or in a place where your emotions and your heart is easily broken because how much you may love them, or how much you may trust them, or how much you are just so vulnerable to them because of who they are, and because you have just that love for them, like no matter what you do, I'm gonna love you no matter what. But maybe they don't have that for you. It's damaging, and it can affect your walk with the Lord. Because the Bible tells you that a broken heart really drags a spirit down, and vice versa. And it's really important. And that's why the Bible tells you to guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. That's why the Bible tells us in Galatians chapter 5 that we have to have on the breastplate of righteousness. Why? What is righteousness? It's God's way, the right way. Your heart must follow the right way. Not what seems right to you, but the right way, God's way. It means I love you. I truly love you. I respect you. You can have that for someone, but I must choose God over you. Because if I love you so much that you can deter me from God, I have to choose Him. And sometimes, guys, it's a hard thing. But the thing is, you're not making a choice because sometimes you're not making a choice because you want to be evil. But it's like, I have to choose Him because what you're doing is hurting me, or what you're not doing is hurting me, or the things that you say, or the cycle of pain that I go through, the cycle of disappointment with you, the cycle of high hopes followed by being completely punched in the gut keeps me distracted in my pain. So I must go. And so in my dream, it was like, I was crying, boy, I was crying, like tears coming down like water as I'm saying this to this person. Because that's what it was. It's like, I must choose God over you. And guys, a lot of you are in that place, aren't you? And sometimes you're conflicted because you feel like, am I doing something wrong or something crazy? But when God says, he who loves father and mother more than me is not worthy of me, that means if you put them before God, that means they can cause you to go away from God. That means they can cause you continue to not put the breastplate of righteousness, cover yourself with the word of God, follow God's way. Even when God sometimes will tell you, it's time to close this door. Why? You're vulnerable to these individuals. You're vulnerable to this person because of how much you love them. You're vulnerable because of the level of loyalty you have, the level of long suffering you have that they do not have for you. So they will hurt you. And then you will be deterred from righteousness. Because pain and drama and pulling off the scab, and when you're knocked off, it's going to turn you away from God. And enough pain and enough trauma and enough disappointment opens you up to unclean spirits. Because hurt is like, it draws the demonic. And how many times can you keep getting up and building yourself back up again, and You say you forgive and you say it doesn't matter, or you just let it slide and you build yourself up again and you cry and you're weak, and then you get before the Lord and He strengthens you again. And then you get to a place where you're building up momentum again with a Father and getting the understanding. And then here comes this person that comes again in your life, and you're open and you're like, yes, I'm loving you and I'm going to show you unconditional love. And they gut you again. You see, after a while, you become so hardened. And so, guys, let me tell you, it's okay if everyone does not understand, or certain people don't understand. And some people may say, well, I didn't do anything. Well, what happened? Sometimes, guys, when you, like the Bible talks about the parable when the wheat was planted and then somehow the tares sprung up among the wheat. And then the people that was working the land, let's say, according to they said to the king, shall we go out there and pull up the tares? And the king says, no, leave them, lest while you're trying to pull the tares up, you pull up the wheat with them. Sometimes when you're making certain decisions in your life, people will not understand. And sometimes you're not placed in a position where you can tell everybody what's going on. Sometimes you just have to leave everything, because you don't want to have to explain, even people that they didn't do anything, because you're all tied to the same person. You don't want to be explaining and telling them, well, why God told you had to move. Sometimes you make that clean cut and you follow what God tells you to do, and you trust the Lord that He will deal with everything. People may look at you and think, oh, what kind of daughter are you? What kind of son are you? What kind of brother are you? How could you be away from your family? How could you be away from these people? How could you shut that door? But God will tell you to shut that door, because I'm here to tell you, just because you're the same family don't mean that you're all going to enter into the kingdom of heaven. If there's 5 members of a family and only 2 are serving God, 2 are entering into everlasting life, and 3 is going to hear, depart from me. If 3 were serving God and 2 were not, only 3 are going to enter into everlasting life and 2 are not. In this world, we may be categorized as family and according to race and whatever. But guys, at the end of it, when we stand before the throne of God, you stand as a soul. Because you see, whoever you may be related to or you're close to, they are a soul. They're in a case, and that may say parent, brother, sister, friend, co-worker, boss, but that is a soul. And that's completely separated from what you see on the outside. And sometimes what you see on the outside and your affiliation with them, or your familiarity, or the times you've shared, or the bonds that you created with them, can deter you, and it can cause you to not be able to make sound decisions that you can probably make with someone who you're not close to. But it's not that. It's choosing God, because God requires us at times to choose Him. It tells us, he who has lost mother, father, brother, sister, house, lands, and home for my sake shall inherit 100-fold in heaven in everlasting life. Does God just want you to discard your people? No, but He knows that sometimes those who are closest to you, even friends or affiliates, they can be the source of your hurt and your pain and what keeps you from God. And sometimes it's not even just them ridiculing you for being saved or being a servant of God, or troubleshooting you, or trying to prove to you that, hey, God doesn't exist and this is crazy and there are many paths to God. It could be them trying to do that, but also because they are repeated offenders and they continue to hurt you so much that you're always in pain. And it really, that pain, and when you are in tears and you're crying, it separates you from God, because you can't hear Him in pain. Pain can blind you, and pain can cripple you, and pain can cause you to go deaf spiritually, because pain is spirit. You can't see pain. You see the results of pain, but you don't see pain itself. Pain is something that is an invisible force that impacts you. It is carried out in a certain way. Someone can hit you with something and you see the evidence of it on your skin, but you cannot see pain. Otherwise, we'll dodge it. When someone impales someone with a knife, you don't see the pain. You see the results of it. A cry, a scream, the blood, the bruising. the scab, the scar. But you don't see pain. Pain is spirit. Pain can be coming right out of someone's mouth to you. And it does something. You're not bleeding per se. There are no wounds, physical wounds, but it happens on the inside. And it can handicap you and cripple you. And then pain wants to give you a new narrative to you and what happens. And a lot of times that person will push that off to you. Why? Why is it that someone could do something to you? Maybe have you in a process of toxic behaviors or the things that they say because they themselves are not submitting to God. Because if they're submitting to God, there's certain things they'll never do to you because they're being led by God. But sometimes as you're being led by God, you are not using wisdom. You think love means, oh, I go run into the burning building. No. God is saying, come to me. I will be your secret place. I will be your hiding place. I will be your strength. I will be your shield. When your mother and your father forsake you, I will take you up. I am prepared for the fact that you may have to turn away from them and choose me because they put you in that position. So I know that this is not unforgiveness. I know that this is not hatred. It is you choosing me, because even in you choosing me, you still love them dearly. And for those who may be struggling with feelings with them in their heart, you still want God, and you're like, Lord, I still am pixeled in my heart towards them. But Lord, I trust you to heal me. But for now and always, I'm going to choose you. Yeah. You see, certain things that's going on in this time it's so important, guys, that you have a relationship with God. You must have a keen and a true relationship with him. And I'm going to do that in the next video. So this video is not too long, because you see, everything is kind of gone virtual. Okay. Just as it is virtual. Everything is a spiritual walk. And if you're handling everything from the natural and you're seeing things and attempting to handle things from the natural, you're going to get lost and you're going to find yourself falling away from God, because you're using your senses and your feelings and you're not walking by the Spirit. So guys, with that said, I'm going to end this here and let you know that sometimes there are relationships that you have to let go of, even relationships you never thought you would have to. Why? Because there comes a point in your life where you have to step in. You know, Moses ended up being left behind because of Moses, the last person I expected, right? He carried the children of Israel so far, and then he ends up not entering into the promised land, right? Because of just, he caused things to happen. And, you know, as great as he was, the Lord's like, okay, the buck stops here for you. And he was taken to the Father, but he did not get to go the extra mile. And sometimes, guys, it's the other way around. It's maybe people you've walked with for a certain period of time, but now God is saying, this is where it ends, and this is where you move forward, and this is where it ends for them. And a lot of people was crying, and they were very sad when Moses was not going to go any further, because they were so attached to him, and they knew, even though they were arguing with him at times, they are familiar with him. And so they went without him. I'm sure that when they had to leave Aaron behind, Moses had to leave Aaron behind, that was hard. Certain things happened, certain things took place, and God says, okay, this is where it ends here. Moses did not have any hatred towards Aaron, or Aaron towards Moses. But sometimes God says it ends here. And so that's what happens. And that is what's happening with a lot of us. God is saying it's time for you to move forward. You have to leave this behind. You have to leave them behind. Sometimes you're leaving the terrors behind. And sometimes it's someone you love and you didn't expect that you'd have to move forward. But God sees that now you must move forward on your own. There was so much that was shared together with Moses. They went through Moses was there, brought them out of Egypt, brought them out of this place and led them in the wilderness. And they had their ups and downs, but they knew Moses. Moses parted the Red Sea, but yet they had to move ahead without him. And that's what God is doing now. You may not be leaving a Moses behind, a guide. In some cases you are. And in other cases, God is saying, it's time to leave Egypt behind. And I mean the term in which the place where you are held prisoner and captive by people, by those you love. You've got to go. And it's just in my heart to tell you, no, it's not hatred, it's not unforgiveness. Just as I was pouring out and crying in my dream, I was crying so hard in my dream. But it was also my answer. I'm not doing this because I hate anybody. I'm not making decisions that I've made because I hate people. It's because I love God. And I have to choose Him. And I have to leave anything behind that makes me stop and look behind and cry and get sad because I love them so much. Are you at this place yet? And if you are, it feels strange, but keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Because what's at the end is going to be well worth anything that you feel that you have lost. Because everything you lose for Christ is going to be gain in the end. All right, guys? Peace out.